Welcome back, everyone, to part 2. Hope you're doing well today. So in part 1, we talked about a certain subject. Are you ready?
Changing lanes.
So you really need to listen to part 1 before part 2, but very, very briefly, we are talking about working as menopause ladies in the workplace, getting some expert advice from our guest, who I'll reintroduce in a second, and also about why we like to change jobs during our midlife. Is it because we've gone completely nuts? Who knows? Who knows? So I'm going to reintroduce the guest to you today. So we've got back with us Amanda.
Hello.
And we've got Carol.
Hi.
Oh, Carol's on fire. So just a quick reintro. So Amanda has worked in HR for 25 years plus. She is a coach. Got that right?
A career coach for women going through change.
Thank you very much. Nicely said. So before we carry on with from part 2, as you know, Menopause Dinners is all about food. And I've got to say, I was really, really impressed. Amanda came all the way. Can I say where you live?
Yeah.
From Bedford. I mean, oh my God. That's another applause.
You're such Londoners. It's not that far. It's
No,
like 40
it's
minutes
far.
north of London on the
40
train.
minutes north.
North of London, isn't
up
it?
north. No, I'm really, 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 really glad that you've come here tonight. But also, I thought I can't just do the normal stuff, so I made a vegetarian lasagna because I did ask for special requirements for you dietary. I wasn't going to give her like a steak
Or a pudding.
I'm not giving her a pudding. So this vegetarian lasagna was made with chickpeas. It's got big aubergines in it.
Big peppers.
And big peppers in it, feta cheese, and I actually did put some other stuff in there, which you can look on the YouTube because you can see me make it and you can see the recipe details as well.
I
But
probably will do that, actually.
oh, you're going
tasty.
to chop up the aubergine though.
Yes.
So, what did you think, Amanda?
I was very pleasantly surprised.
Was you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Good. So you feel like you're
It was
you're
worth
right.
coming down.
Worth coming down from Bedford. Carol, what did you think?
I thought it was lovely. I didn't like the peppers because I'm not great with peppers, but the aubergines.
Oh, for God's sake! It's always
were
something.
you could have
It's
picked
either
them out, Carol. They were that
sardines
large.
or peppers. Oh my God! No, that's
But
fine.
I thought
that's
it was
fine.
great.
Thank you very much. So, give me a score out of 10.
9.
Oh, go on, Carol.
9.5.
9.5.
I didn't know we could give half. 9 3/4.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I don't believe in perfection, so no one gets a 10.
No.
Well,
Solid
same
9
here.
3/4.
Same here. I would never give a 10, but thank you. I'm really touched. So yeah, I'm going to post that. But loads of goodness in there for perimenopause and menopause and post. So, oh my goodness, we've got to just go through a few things with Amanda before we open up the questions, because we've got some questions. Some people are here, some people aren't, but don't worry about that. Is there anything that we didn't cover in part 1?
Probably quite a lot, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, so
let's see the questions.
Let's see the questions. So part 2 is really all about what people can do. This is about empowering people to make those decisions. So I think, do you know what? Let's just open up some questions and then we can come back to anything. Carol, have you got any questions for Amanda?
When I was speaking to Amanda earlier, I did say to her that our organisation has got a policy. And then Amanda asked me, did it get rolled out to the managers? And I said no, because I don't think we realised that there was something to do after that. So how do we go back to it?
Okay, so I would say there's 5 key things you need to look at when you're rolling out a new policy of anything at all. One is that you've engaged your client group. They've fed into it. The other is that your managers are trained and understand how to deliver the policy to their teams. I think one of the key things about peri is that we quite often need flexible working. So making sure your policies are up to date, not just on menopause, but all of the policies that, sort of sickness and flexible working. And a nice non-specific one, but one that's super important, is ensuring that your workforce is in a psychologically safe space, which is a bit of a tenuous thing, but I think that's about people being okay to ask questions and not feeling like there's going to be any retribution. You need to have that if you're going to have a policy around women when they're feeling a bit flaky. They need to feel safe when they're asking those questions. So that's kind of imperative. And each organisation will have different parameters how they measure that.
I think where we might have stumbled is that the training for managers, and I'm going to go back and just double check and see how is that we can pick up. I do feel that we have ambassadors that don't know that they are ambassadors, because
that's very worrying. Like a first aider not knowing what a plaster is, isn't it, really?
Because people, the safe space is there, but we haven't encouraged it or promoted it in any way. So I think that kind of
box ticking exercise.
Yeah, we've done that.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen it fully through. So I do think that there is a piece of work to be done. So I can go and start a conversation because I'm menopausal and I don't care what I say.
And do you work for a really large organisation? So you can always start with the protected characteristic of menopause coming in this year. Have you done X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea for us to get ahead of the curve as a council.
Yeah, and definitely we will be going back because there's little bits and pieces, and like you said, now it's going to be brought in as law. Yeah, let's get ahead of the game and let's make sure that we've done everything that we need to do.
And this stuff isn't tricky, but it just requires some thought to it.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
How should women experiencing menopause bring the topic up with their boss?
That's a bit like how long is a piece of string, because it depends on your boss.
Yeah.
So there are some organisations that direct you to go to HR for these sorts of things, and some that direct you to your manager. If you have a manager that you believe would be open to you requesting, reasonable adjustments, but justifying why you need them. So basically saying, this is what I'm experiencing, this is what I think will resolve it. Can we try this for 6 months? If you have a manager that you think that, and you kind of know whether your manager's going to be receptive to it.
Yeah, definitely.
If they're not receptive, then you need to go to your HR team. If the HR team don't exist, you need to go to your boss's boss, basically. This is like, you need to take it up the chain, because this is an obligation for the organisation to support you in your health and safety, basically.
Yeah.
This falls under that at the moment. So they have a requirement to make sure they're looking after you. So it's not nice to say, you are legally obliged to make sure that I'm supported, even though they are.
Yeah.
You want to have a conversation that's like, how can we work this out so we're both winning?
Is a recommendation to speak with HR before your line manager? I mean, I think I know the answer to that one, but I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, I think it depends on your organisation, what the policy is, and also bugger what the policy is. If you think that they're receptive, then do it. Because at the end of the day, it's your line manager's responsibility to look after you. That's their job. So I think it's always better, because also what you're asking for will impact that line manager, but it won't impact HR. So if you're going to ask to work from home for a day a week or 2 days a week, or if you want to, be sat next to a window, or be encouraged to take breaks to go and get some fresh air because you're overheating, that HR don't really care about that, but your manager's going to be super miffed if they haven't approved it. So having that conversation, being open and honest with your manager, I think is the best course of action if you can do it.
Okay, so what about if you are in an organisation where there's no HR, it's just maybe a couple of bosses, and they're not listening to you? What is the next point of call for someone that's struggling and that can see that they're not getting the support that they need?
So if they're not getting the support they need, and it's like a 5-person business and it's only managers that are sort of making decisions, then I'm afraid I would encourage you to submit a flexible working request, which is a very formal document that requires a very formal reply. And in that, you'd be putting in I would strongly suggest that you get support from either someone you know in HR or a coach or a mentor or whoever it is, somewhat HR person, to give you some support on how to fill that in. So the key thing with flexible working requests is to make sure you're including review periods. So you could say, I want this for 2 years with reviews every 6 months. That's reasonable, and they can't argue with that really. And also, you're not just asking for things, you're suggesting why it might be beneficial for the business. So sometimes we need to be a bit creative about that, but there is always something you say, well, if you look after me, then this will be the impact.
Yeah, that's like me, when me and my husband first started going out and I wanted to go to the cinema and see a certain film, I would do it so he would say that film and then I'd make it his choice. Are we saying something along those lines?
If we have the capability of doing that, then absolutely yes. Absolutely.
Yes, I can't do it anymore because he knows that I do it. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you can't get any support by going to your boss and being informal and, being human, then unfortunately the only way of doing it is to scare them with legislation, which is not ideal, but it shows you're not messing around and you know what you're talking about. If you submit a flexible working request around your menopause symptoms, you reference disability discrimination, health and safety, and also the fact it's becoming a protected characteristic, that will scare them enough, I'm pretty sure, to give you what you want.
Okay, and let me just ask the most silliest question. What happens if it doesn't scare them and they're very blasé? What's the next step from there?
Oh, gets a bit tricky because most of the time, nine times out of 100, they would realise.
They'll be like, oh dear.
Yeah. But if you're being discriminated against in work, and your company aren't helping you, then you can take them to our tribunal.
Okay.
Because they are breaking the law. Now, often you'd need to leave your position and then claim constructive dismissal. That's basically saying that your company has made you resign because they're not dealing with your very reasonable requests.
Right,
and generally, if your company has just blanked you, they won't have followed any of the proper procedures that you need to do, so you will win the case. So if they're that sort of company, they won't have done anything right.
What's a reasonable time for them to come back to you to either say yes or no?
So there is an actual requirement for response to a reasonable request. It's 2 months. So they absolutely have to have considered it. And because it's a business request and it's a format, so you fill in certain things, they cannot reject you without a business case, basically.
Right, okay.
And if you're superseding that with this is how it's not going to affect the business, then they'd be really challenged to...
Yeah. Practice tips would you offer organisations wishing to provide proactive support to women in any stage of the menopause?
1 is to have a policy, 2 is to have trained managers, and 3, advocates. I think if you did that with integrity, then they're great steps to get something sort of embedded in a culture.
Well, with the training, we've talked about this before in part 1. Are there any dodgy training courses out there for menopause, or do you know much about them? Are there good ones out there? Or not sure?
That's really tricky actually, because there are some really good small providers, but there are also very big providers, both good and bad.
Right.
So I would say with any sort of training that you're getting, make sure you do your due diligence on them, make sure you get feedback from clients, or, ideally you want referrals.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in something, if someone asks me, then I'll be able to suggest people in your area.
Sure.
But I think it's just a case of you
Okay.
asking what people have experienced, because actually I think there's quite a lot of people in bigger organisations that have had menopause training, whether it's been,
We've never had
decent.
it. I didn't even know that menopause training was a thing.
That's weird.
So I think it would be good because I'm a trainer. And and a learning and development training for the organisation. I used to be.
And a
So I
project
think-
coordinator.
and a
God,
project
you've got many hats going on over there, love.
I wear a lot of hats.
She's a chef as well.
Wow.
You need to cook the next time.
Yeah, I can cook, no problem.
Put that
Oh,
But I think training is a really good thing.
I'm really surprised that if you have a menopause policy, you do not have trained trainers.
No, we don't.
Because
Not at all.
how are your staff or managers supposed to know? Is that how you generally roll out training? Here's a document, read it. Is that training to you?
Well, we kind of do it on the basis of what a manager needs. So, the fact that we've got a menopause policy, it was because it was the buzz. That's why we got the policy going.
You've probably got it because there's a bunch of middle-aged women going through the menopause as well.
I think so, definitely.
Yeah.
But in terms of the effectiveness now and the impact that it should be having,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be a small conversation. It should be a big conversation in the organisation, and it isn't. We didn't do anything for Menopause
Awareness Week.
Awareness Week because we felt,
Your HR team's pants.
well, it wasn't even HR. What about the Women's Network?
You got a women's network, and none of
Yeah.
them are trained in menopause.
And they didn't think it was. We'd done the drive. We got the policy. Well, what do we need to do else?
Oh, that incites me. Do you know what? I'm part of a women's group, a women's networking group. And when it was my turn to present my career coaching around change, menopause is one of the things. One of the participants said, haven't we talked about this enough recently?
That was what we said. That's what they said.
And you're like, well, it's obviously not landed, has it? Let's talk about it some more then.
Oh, that's so
If
bad.
that's your attitude, do you know what I mean? As a business of we're not, shame on your women's group. God, they're not feminists, are they?
And they would consider themselves to be.
Only of a certain age. You don't want to support middle-aged women.
But I think training is definitely an avenue that we should look at as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we've got a lot of young women coming into the organisation. And I think we need to raise awareness.
So the interesting thing about putting in a menopause policy is it often brings up other things. So endometriosis or, sort of when people have those really long periods that are really painful.
yeah.
So it's about hormone health. So hormones are really prevalent when they drop off a cliff when you're our age.
Yeah.
But they also mess with your body at least once a month, several times during the year as well. On top of that, blokes go through life with a hormonal dip. Ours goes up and down, and then hits perimenopause and just literally drops off a cliff.
Yeah.
So there's a conversation around, actually you can engage all areas of the business if you're talking about hormone health. So is it just a menopause policy you need? It sounds like, to be inclusive, you need a hormone policy.
Yeah.
Hormone health policy. Because we don't want to miss out the youngsters.
No,
that
you
are
don't.
experiencing
You don't.
difficulties.
We've been talking about that a lot, haven't we, over the
Yeah.
last few podcasts, especially for the guys.
Yeah. So I was the menopause.
Yeah. The menopause. It's true though. No, it's a really good point. Definitely, because I was talking to someone this morning who's 20 and that's just learnt about the menopause, and her words were, "I did not understand it. Didn't get it." And oh my God. And I thought, yeah.
Aren't you saints? Yes, we are. Look at what I have to put up with.
Yeah.
For like up to 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
And it's giving people empathy, isn't it? If you're sort of doing the training and you're sharing what this is, you're just making people more empathetic. And how is that a bad thing for any business, to have empathy for your colleagues?
Yeah.
Of course, it costs money.
Oh yeah, costs money, but it's important to create that nice energy, isn't it?
I think it's really important because well-being is such a prevalent issue at the moment, and it falls under well-being. And to do box ticking exercises in well-being is a very bad idea.
Okay.
Because that will get around that you've got these policies that aren't worth the paper they're written on, and you don't want to be that organisation. Yeah.
What is a strong organisation that obviously we've talked about listening and giving time off if needed, but from your experience, you must have seen one that you thought, my God, they've got it, they've nailed it on the head.
Unfortunately not. I stopped working in HR about 3 years ago, and it's only been the last 3 years I think we've been having these conversations.
Right.
The last organisation I worked for, this was, just to put some background to it, so I was misdiagnosed when I was peri, and my doctor wouldn't put me on HRT, put me on antidepressants. So as a HR consultant, i.e. someone that was going in and delivering projects and then leaving again, so no one cares about what you like and they just want you to do the work.
Yeah.
The last contract I went into, I actually implemented a menopause policy, and then they cancelled me because of, well, it wasn't just my menopausal symptoms, because I had brain fog, I had hot flashes and low-level rage, again, no knife. But
No axe.
Yeah, no axe either. That's in the car. But I also had no empathy because I was on antidepressants. So ultimately, although I delivered an menopause policy, that was the reason I was terminated, was because of my menopause, which is, the irony does not fail me on that one. But
God.
I can understand as a business, your contractors are supposed to come in and deliver, and if they're not doing that, then... But that's the whole point, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
as a contractor, I don't have the same rights as a permanent employee. If I was an impermanent employee, that would have been a big issue.
Oh, that would have been a massive issue.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a shame, isn't it?
Yeah. But I've heard about good companies,
Yeah.
like on Tinternet, and on that magic tubey thing.
Yeah, my husband's company is amazing. He's
Yeah.
what they're. I mean, when he told them what I'm doing, they're all over it. They're like, this is amazing.
So it's not, you don't get a company that's shit at everything else but great at menopause policies.
Yeah.
These are companies that genuinely care about their staff and
Yeah.
understand the benefits of looking after their staff.
Yeah.
If a company, and it's always top down, if your leaders buy into this, if
Yeah.
they understand,
Yeah.
they will make sure all of their staff understand. So it's really getting that buy-in at the very top that really makes a difference on whether we end up being supported realistically or
No,
not.
I agree with that. I mean, he's been with two companies. The company before, they literally drove him to the ground. And I can tell you, I think that they would definitely not have a menopause policy.
Yeah.
But this one, he finishes at 5:30.
They probably don't even have contracts there.
This one, he finishes at 5:30. The other one, he was finishing at midnight.
Because they realised
Yeah.
that, and actually in France, they made it illegal to call people in work after 6 o'clock. You're not allowed, it's illegal to call anybody on work-related
wow.
business. And, everyone bangs on about, they're always striking. They have some of the best employment law, and they are one of the most productive countries.
I like that. But it should be, as soon as you finish work, unless you're someone that is an alarm technician or something, and
Yeah.
you need to go.
But then do you know what I mean? If you're like on shift working or whatever, there is always different ways of dealing with things.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, if they're looking after you, they're looking after everybody.
You love your job?
Yes, I love doing the coaching stuff.
What do you love about it?
So I think that women come to me when they're at a little bit of a crossroads, a loss, and there's something they want to achieve. And after one or two conversations, we generally know where we're heading, because I'm just sort of reading what they're saying and listening to them. And I love the fact that talking to me allows other people to enjoy their lives more. Just by talking to me, they're having epiphanies on what they want in their jobs, what they want in their relationships, what they want to do for fun, sort of what their confidence issues are. And I'm not necessarily sort of telling them what they've got to do, although as a mentor I do guide sometimes in the HR remit, but I'm not sort of advising them generally. That's not what coaching is. So it's just really lovely to work with. And because I work with professional women, they're generally women that get stuff done. So when they come to me, They know they want to work, and because there is always work outside of the 1 hour session, they get homework basically. Because if they want to move forward with their lives, doing an hour every 2 weeks is not going to do it. They have to do work in between. And the women that I've worked with, 9 times out of 10 have absolutely nailed that. And you can see how it's having a massive impact to their happiness.
That's amazing.
Their confidence levels, their relationships. It's all about boundaries and confidence, basically, fundamentally, is what I do. I'm kind of like a cheerleader.
Are you?
And that's quite nice.
You got like an outfit.
I've got pom-poms.
Have you?
And an axe.
And an axe.
Pom-poms got the axe.
And a
Which
knife.
one do you want?
And a knife.
Excellent.
A knife and an axe. What a great job.
I wanted to ask you something, Amanda. You know, because when you're going through your menopause, all right then, even before you get going through your menopause and you're experiencing very heavy menstrual cycles and things like that, and then you start, and if that happens to you, and if you're then going through your menopause and everything else, there's a great deal of isolation because we're not good conversationists. We talk about everything else, and we could be sitting in a room with 5 women all suffering with the same thing, and we don't even know that because we want to have a laugh and a joke. We want to put it behind us. But you just said, in terms of when women come to you and everything else, they get an hour of your time to reflect, look at themselves in the mirror. Suppose there are women out there that just can't afford it for whatever reason. What kind of things could they do to kind of start talking to themselves and understanding? This podcast is one thing to know there are other women out there like me. So where can I go? What can I do? How can I get it started?
So I would say, and I actually haven't talked about this yet, but one of the biggest things that I find is super useful is tracking your symptoms, your mood, your sleep.
Excellent.
Now I use, I don't know if you've heard of Louise Newson, who's massive in the menopause space. She's got an app called Balance, completely free, and I track my sleep because that's the issue for me. But you can also track your symptoms and, you know, sort of your moods. So once you've done that for maybe a couple of months, you get an understanding of where you are with stuff. Go out, educate yourself. There's podcasts out there like this ones that are maybe specific to what, you know, maybe your confidence has not been knocked. There's bound to be a podcast about that. So don't look at it just from, it's great for you to be listening to podcasts about the menopause because it's just upskilling us all, isn't it? And we're all feeling a bit more connected. But if you have specific things that you're working towards, so I also use a wheel of life, and you can just pull these off the internet and just sort of fill in, and you can kind of put all your sections around it. It's like a pie split up. Work, relationships, self-development, money, home life, family life, whatever it is, choose your bits and then you mark it 1 to 10.
I've done that.
Look at the 3 lowest ones and focus on them. And there's lots of self-help books, podcasts, movies. I mean, I do pro bono coaching if people, you know, sort of need, if you're referred through a charity, which you are now as a SIC, aren't you? CIC?
Yeah, we're non-profit.
Right, so you could refer somebody to me and they get 3 sessions.
That's good.
Okay, can we refer ourselves?
Yes, you could. I think you need to. So there's avenues of doing things, but I think that I'm a big advocate of HRT because it really did sort me out. I was going absolutely doodlally. And now I'm sort of on HRT and supplements because being ADHD, I need supplements, but also some of the symptoms are the same. So sometimes I don't know if it's the ADHD or the menopause or I'm going doodlally. But what was I saying? Oh, brain fog. What were we saying there?
Can't help you. We was talking about...
What was the app? Because you mentioned
So Balance.
Balance. You was talking about the wheel of life.
And the wheel of life.
Just basically, there's lots of different things that you can do that don't cost a lot of money. There was something else, wasn't there? I'll tell you what also. I was telling you that I'm a big advocate of HRT.
This show is real.
I was over the fairies then. So I was on HRT and I've also gone on supplements. But I do want to let everybody know, if you are someone that's messing around with supplements, you want to do that instead of HRT, if you want to do a mix or whatever, there is a free service from Naked Pharmacy. And I don't know if it's just because I'm ADHD, but I actually sent them a list of everything that I was on, with the dosages and the brands and what my symptoms were. And they went through it all, and they told me that I could drop some things because they shouldn't be taken with other things. And basically, they did suggest that I buy something from them, but what I was buying from them was half the price of the stuff they told me to dump. And actually, since I've been on their one tablet rather than the 3 I was taking, definitely, apart from that one wobble there with me brain fog, which, let's be honest, ladies, it's a roller coaster, isn't it? So you're not
You've done quite well this
so far.
evening.
Yeah,
Okay, that's interesting. I've not
That's
heard
good.
of them.
Naked Pharmacy.
I'm gonna look.
Free half, but yeah, don't just call them up and say, "Oh, I don't want to talk to you about
Yeah.
this." Tell them exactly what
Yeah,
you want. I think you have got to be very prescriptive with customer service these days, don't you?
Yeah, no, that's a really.
But they're really helpful.
Yeah, no, I really like that question, Carol. I thought it was a really, really
Yeah.
good, useful one for.
And I think that we need to take ownership. We're going through a journey, and you can't just sit back and just think,
It's a wild ride.
yeah. And you can't just sit back and think, well, I hope things change. You've got to
Yeah.
do something.
What's that phrase? Doing the same thing continuously and expecting a different outcome is one sign of madness. I'm sure it's a bit sharper than that, isn't it? But that's
I'm just going with the flow. I'm just going with the flow. I think you might be right. I think you might be right.
yeah.
Okay, so let's give someone some advice that let's say that someone's struggling with their identity. That's a big one. We talked about that in part 1. Not like they wake up and some people wake up and they just don't know who they are anymore. They lose their identity in the menopause, and when they're working, that can factor into that. What can we do with that? Is there any advice apart from
Get a coach.
get a coach? Funny enough, we've got one here. Ba, 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 ba.
So again, there's lots of podcasts around that sort of stuff. There's also loads of self-help books.
I love a self-help book. I'll tell you who I really like, James Clear. Have you ever read James Clear?
No.
Best self-help book I've ever read. It's called Autonomic Habits, and it's about how you change your habit and put a new habit in. And it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I think there's loads of good stuff out there, but I think the first thing is being aware of what it is you want to achieve. You know, I don't feel like myself. Well, do you want to be the person you were when you were 20? Probably not.
But
what do you want to be now, and how do you work towards it?
Exactly.
You upskill yourself, basically.
You can't
if
look
you don't
back.
have any, no, there's no point in looking back, because
Yeah.
who wants? People bang on about school being the best days of your life.
It went for me. I got bullied like shit.
Did you?
I did. I
Oh,
got
sorry about that.
the shit kicked out of me.
Did you?
Kids are nasty little buggers,
No,
aren't
they,
they?
yeah, they
I'm
are.
sorry, they were nasty. They really was. And I'll tell you, if I saw any of them now, trust me,
Smack
they'd
'em.
get it. They'd get it.
With your meat cleaver.
They more than that. The eyes, I can do it with my eyes. Don't need an axe or a knife. My eyes can just do it.
Zap
That's
'em,
it.
Zap 'em.
Any other questions, Carol, before we wrap up?
No, I think Amanda's been brilliant.
I think it's a really good
Really?
call. You
Yeah.
drive me
Yeah.
all the way down from Bedford.
it's been worth it.
And it's big.
So, okay, can we finish on one more thing? If you could say anything to someone that's listening that's either needing some coaching or some HR advice, is there anything that you would like to say to them on a personal level, maybe?
Well, I think just generally about being a menopausal woman, I'd just like to say that menopause can feel like everything is falling apart. But actually what's happened is it's realigning.
Oh, I should have that at the end. I like that. That's really nice.
I think that it's really important for women to realise that life is a bit of an up and downy thing, and this is a wobble that we have for a very specific period in life. I'm very much looking forward to being Superwoman when I come out the other side. That's what I've been told is going to happen.
I've heard that too, but I mean, I'm like I said, I'm post, and I'm still waiting. Hang on. I'm still waiting for it.
But do you know yourself more now?
I'm getting there now. I'm understanding.
Everything's a process, though, Sarah.
Yeah. No, I'm understanding. Like, for instance, when I said about the confidence, I look back. I get it, and it's still a learning curve. But I am. Yeah, I would say that I'm more balanced now. That first year of post for me was really hard. Mentally, it was very draining. And
Why was that?
I think because in your menopause, it's kind of like, I wouldn't say excitement that you're coming out of it and you're going into, but you know that that's finished, but you still have some hormone in your body. But when you hit your post, it's like completely flattens you out. And I think that what I found really hard. I had depression, anxiety, quite hard, to be honest with you. When I look back at it, I should have gone and got some help, but I just plodded through it.
Because that's what we're used to doing.
Because that's what we're used to doing. And
let's look around, ladies. Like, every other bugger's asking for help.
Yeah.
Why aren't we?
Yeah.
But
we're not expected to carry the whole world on our shoulders.
I think for me, it's also difficult because of the work that I do.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're in a work where you're always giving advice, it's actually quite difficult to do it for yourself. And I think
we're all buggers at not being able to take our own advice. I give great advice, but I'm rubbish at taking it.
Well,
myself. But that's why you get your friends. That's why you get your friends around you.
Yeah.
I think that what's really useful is once you sort of start connecting with people around the menopause, you meet lots of different other people.
Yeah.
And if you can find a buddy that holds you accountable for things, and like you're saying, right, okay, so I'm feeling this, I'm gonna go and get a book.
Yeah.
Well, if no one's gonna follow up on that book's never gonna be bought. But if you know that your friend's saying, right, I'm gonna talk to me about that self-help book next time we see each other.
Well, you could talk if they've not read it. You could say, well, it was really good.
That's not very genuine there, is it, Sarah?
It's not.
And if your friends would believe you, then I don't think they're proper friends, are they? I don't know if my friends are bullshitting like that.
Amanda, before we wrap up, how can people get in contact with you if they want to?
If they want to, well, first I'd just let everybody know that I do an article on pauseandempower.com every week that's around basically anything that I think I'd want to read. So there is menopause stuff in there. There's also stuff about being a working woman in midlife and, all sorts of stuff. That's free. So you can go on and have a look at all my... I think I've got 130 articles on there now.
Have you really?
Wow.
Oh, hang on. You need a little trombone for that.
Yeah.
Go on. We haven't got a trombone.
I'm on LinkedIn as Amanda Connolly, Connolly.
Okay.
I'm on Pause and Empower on Facebook. One of those pages I set up. I still don't really understand how it works.
And don't forget, we'll put all of this information. It will be on all of our platforms, wherever you're listening to. It'll be on there.
And Instagram. So, if there's anybody that needs any guidance or signposting, then I always offer people a 30-minute discovery call, which is just to see if they're actually wanting to be coached.
Yeah.
And if we are a good fit, because not everybody gets on with everybody else. And I'm definitely, a certain sort of person. So it's
that.
half an hour of just checking that you're going to be a good fit.
And that's what we did for the podcast, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So make sure you was a good fit.
Yeah.
Should never have let her come on. Yeah, fuck that one right up. Carol, if anyone wants to be a guest, what do they need to do? Anything in particular?
You all know you don't have to have any experience. You just got to be able to talk, have a chat with us and let us know how you're feeling, what you've gone through and everything else. But if you want to be on this show and you want to take part, please come along. You can see us on Menopause Dinner at gmail.com. Is menopause dinner all one word?
Yes.
All one word.
Dinners.
Menopause dinners with the S at gmail.com. It's very important. Please just come on board and like and share.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Carol. Before we wrap up, I just want to say that I've really thoroughly enjoyed. Carol, how fun has this been today?
It's been great fun.
Having Amanda.
Thank you, Amanda.
I really want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much.
Right. I hope it's useful. And if anyone just needs like something really basic, like some guidance on the flexible working request, then just drop me a line.
Thank you. That means a lot. So Massive applause for you, Amanda. Thank you so much. And I think this is going to benefit a lot of women. And if you do have a question that we haven't answered, then please get in touch and we will put it on our socials. How's that?
That's great.
Carol, thank you very much.
Bye.
Oh, it's already late and bedtime is occurring. It's calling me. Oh God, she's looking at her watch. Okay, remember to like, rate and subscribe or join any of our platforms to let us know that we're doing a good job. There is now a monetization button as we are now non-profit, so every little helps. Before you go, final thought, menopause sucks, but with friends it sucks a whole lot less. We will see you next time on Menopause Dinners. You take care. Do it.
Just want to say a big thank you, Sarah and Carol, for inviting me along. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I really hope that your podcast gets out to a lot more people.
Thank you.
It's been quite a giggle. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Menopause Dinners is sponsored by Fitness Therapy for You. We'd like to thank Redbridge Sports and Leisure for the use of the Room podcast sessions. Information we have on food and supplementations from our own experiences, so please get medical advice if you are suffering from a medical condition.